Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can see, it is that time of the year again, Halloween. And of course, who would I be if I didn't dress up as well? Okay, now with that out of the way, let's talk about something spooky and scary. That's right, let me tell you a little story, okay? You see, Hasbro for a couple years now have been making a lot of figures based on the original G1 series, which makes sense. You know, it's the original cartoon that started it all, and so it makes sense that it gets a lot of love. But recently, Hasbro has been also making a lot of figures on characters and series that aren't from the G1 series, like Animated, Prime, and of course, Armada, one of my personal favorite Transformer series. And it was going great. The only real big I guess you can say flaw with it was that there were no minicons, which was the entire point of Armada. So that was a bummer, but at least we got really cool versions of the characters in the show and life was going pretty well. And then at one point it was revealed that the commander class for this year was going to be Armada Optimus Prime with his super mode and everything, and life was going well. And then on top of that, it was revealed that the Pulsecon for 2023 was going to be Powerlinx Hotshot. Now, that wasn't as big of a deal because it was already a figure we already had. It was just going to be repainted to look more like Hot Rod. The big deal was that it was going to include minicon Jolt. That's right, a minicon. So, of course, at this point, Armada fans are eating good, okay? We were dining like royalty. And you might be expecting, okay, when Pulsecon comes around, this thing is probably going to sell like hotcakes. It's probably going to come in stock and then boom, instantly sold out. Well, you see, it probably would have, except when there's happiness and prosperity. The Fire Nation attacked. Wait. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. I had the wrong script. No, you see, the price was a little pricey, a little expensive. You might even say it was overpriced. And you know, no collector ever wants to hear those words because it's one of the biggest things we fear. So of course, I guess it's time to find out if it really is overpriced. Because I was one of those suckers who bought the thing. Alright, and here is Powerlinx Hotshot. Now in terms of accessories, you get quite a bit for this set. First off, you get his double barrel engine blaster thing, so that's pretty cool. You get two guns that he used in the show, which is pretty cool as well. These are nice. You just flip them out like this, and you flip this one out too. That, and then you can attach them to his hands, and then he can look like Rambo or something. Now the reason why these handles are flip out is because if you flip them back in and you go to his back, you can actually store them. You see these little tabs here on here go right there, so you can just plug it in, or it's backwards. You want to hold it like this and plug it in. However, a problem with this gun specifically is that it doesn't like to tab in, so I can try tabbing it in and then it'll just pop back out. Yeah, this one actually can tab in a lot better, so you can just tab it in like so, and it stays on. This one, not so much, which is pretty unfortunate considering how much this set was, but you know, this one isn't too much of a big deal because yeah, it doesn't because what you can do is you can move his axle down and twist it back, and it can loosely stay on there because of I guess this is the magazine. It can basically stay on there. His visor came down. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Nice little feature there. So there's that. You also get 6 different effect parts. 6 different. There you go. 6 different effect parts, which I will talk a little bit about more later because turns out effect parts are pretty great. But of course, the biggest accessory that everyone who bought this set probably bought it for is minicon Jolt, which had a really unfortunate problem with mine, which is that, let me see if I can find, yeah, this one right here. If you can look at this one is actually slightly bent downwards, and if you look, that's what it's supposed to look like. This was actually a lot worse. This was so bent down in the packaging that you couldn't even spin it because it would get caught. This part would get caught on the tail fin of the helicopter mode. So I did a couple methods to basically bend it upwards again, and it's not the best job I've done, but it's I'm pretty happy with it because it was so much worse. It was all the way bent downwards, and it just looked really bad, and it basically hindered the spinning feature of this helicopter. That really sucks considering once again how much you pay for this. Especially because this is probably the main reason you get it too. And the packaging, I normally don't have a problem with Hasbro's no plastic packaging. However, when you put just all of the accessories into basically paper wrapping, that's not enough protection to actually, I don't know, protect the thing in shipping or handling or whatever you're doing while traveling it. So that was a pretty horrible idea for sure. Of course, some of the effects parts got bent too, but this isn't as big of a deal because, you know, it's supposed to look messy. So this kind of, I guess, adds to the explosion. So that doesn't matter too much. But this did matter because this was just packed in along with everything else when it really should have been its own thing and probably a little bit more than just paper. Yeah. And here is Hotshot himself, and I gotta say, he looks really, really good. I mean, I just love how the figure looks. However, he isn't without his flaws, like his shoulder engineering, which is just annoying and finicky to mess around with. And it also blocks articulation, which isn't good. Plus, his legs don't look the greatest, and their functionality is also pretty horrible because the knee's always untabbing, and even when the knee doesn't untab, you don't get that much articulation anyway, so you might as well just leave him standing straight up. And like I talked about a little bit earlier with Jolt, the quality control isn't the greatest. But do not worry, he does have an ankle tilt. His head articulation is also pretty limited, but once again, there is a little plus side to it, which is that he has his visor. Along with his visor, he also comes with his wheel cannon, or axle cannon, whatever it's called, okay? It's his minicon gimmick, and if you want, you can also attach a blast effect part to it. Just make sure that you have the round hole so that you can actually attach the part onto it. And while I'm at it, let me talk a little bit about the blast effect parts because they are amazing. I love them so much. They make any display you have just that much more dynamic because there's an effect. It looks like there's movement happening, and it's just awesome. I'm definitely going to be using these a lot more in my future videos if I can. Although I will say he can't really hold his weapon and blast effect really well. His head sculpt though I really do like. It looks really serious, like he's kind of just done with everything. Megatron, I need to have a word with you.
Why does everyone keep thinking my room is a playground or something? Oh, Oh, Hotshot, you look a little mad. Well, you remember that one time you called me Hot Rod instead of Hotshot? Why, yes, I do. You gotta admit, that was pretty funny. Really? Well, let me show you something else that's pretty funny. Yeah, why don't you laugh at that? Onto minicon Jolt. So Jolt's helicopter mode is actually quite nice. I do really enjoy it, and I like how his propeller actually spins. Now, in terms of transformation, it's simple, but it is pretty interesting and fun. I do enjoy transforming him from helicopter to robot mode and vice versa. Now, in terms of the robot mode, Jolt is just a nice, tiny transformer. I like how he looks, and the articulation for his size is pretty good, because when they said mini, they mean it in minicon. He also looks great next to Hotshot. However, he does have some flaws, which is that his quality control, as I've talked about a little bit before, isn't the greatest, as there's a stress mark on one of my ball socket. And he also has these weird black marks around him that I don't really know what they are. But aside from that, he's pretty good, and I do overall really like Jolt. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Hotshot can hold Jolt like a gun. Yeah, there you go. Now back to Hotshot. His transformation, unfortunately, isn't as good as Jolt. It's not the worst, but the way you transform the legs is pretty finicky, so that's not really fun to mess around with. So, yeah. But I do really like his car mode. Car mode looks great. I love the flames on it. I like the windshield. Well, there's a caveat to that, which is that the windshield is made out of clear plastic, which makes it more fragile. And the thing is, I don't really understand the point of making it clear plastic, since the windshield is so dark anyway, you basically can't even see anything inside of it. So what's the point? Why? Anyway, the wheels don't roll that well. I mean, it's okay, but it's nothing, crazy like pinned wheels. And due to the axle cannon gimmick, the rims on his wheels look a little weird since they're not symmetric. There are also gimmicks that you can do with his vehicle mode, like putting Jolt onto the back of him to do his minicon gimmick, like he did in the show, which is really cool. And you can also do his saw gimmick, although there's no saws at all. It's just due to the transformation, so that's a little disappointing, but do not worry, you can put a blast effect on it, so that probably makes it better, I'm sure. I do like how they use his double barrel gun as the engine in vehicle mode. That's pretty cool, and he looks pretty good next to the other Legacy Armada characters in their vehicle mode, so I mean, that's obviously a plus, right? And overall, I just gotta say, I'm a big fan of the vehicle mode. There are some minor imperfections, but overall, good vehicle mode. Alright, time for some comparisons. Here is a Lego minifigure, Transformers Legends Class Rat Trap, Transformers Deluxe Class Bumblebee, Transformers Leader Class Armada, Megatron, who was too big so I had to move the camera back a bit, and Transformers Legacy Armada Starscream. And so my overall thoughts on the set is that it is overpriced. It is. I would have liked to see it more at the $30 to $35 range, 40 at the most, but 45 is pretty expensive, and I honestly don't think it's worth the 45 asking price. However, I will say the set itself is pretty good. It's pretty good. Hotshot is a decent figure. Jolt is a pretty good figure. And while I do like the accessories, especially the effect parts, if it meant making the set overall cheaper, I could have gone without them and just had Hotshot and Jolt. Heck, you could have also just made Jolt by himself and released him, and I probably would have bought that. And then the original Hotshot as well. So, yeah. Overall, the set was pretty good, but the price really brings it down. And so if you think it's worth it, I do recommend it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get this. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this set.
Okay, well, now with the Halloween video out of the way, I guess the next sensible thing to do would be to do what everyone else does. And that's skip straight to Christmas, because Christmas came early this year.